Hi, everybody. This is 𝙩𝙪𝙙𝙖𝙮, your leadership and professional development specialist. Thank you for joining us today. Listen, we have an amazing guest coming on today. We're going to be talking a lot of great things about what it means to be a woman in engineering, maybe compensation, maybe how you find your purpose, and what is this whole STEM thing that everyone keeps talking about, especially in today's time and environment. My name is 𝙩𝙪𝙙𝙖𝙮. I am the founder of the Women Who Leap community, and you are now on with the Women Who Leap Network. So we talk about everything dealing with leadership, entrepreneurship, and purpose. And we're just excited. So be sure to like, subscribe, and share. And please put your comments in below, because every comment that you have and add allows us to get feedback on what you want to listen to, and how we can make ourselves better. Yes, yes. All right, so let's get started. We have an amazing guest today, and I'm so happy that she's here. All right, so we have the amazing Vanessa Morales. Vanessa has an amazing bio, but I'm not going to read it because you know that I'm reading it. So Vanessa, just as an introduction, let everyone know who you are.
I am nothing but your talented and smart, but yet truthful and authentic Vanessa. Honestly, born in a small island in Puerto Rico, was there all my life. Life brought me to the U.S. to pursue my electrical engineering degree at Penn State, and then from there, I ended up in Maryland, where I had wonderful opportunities to work with the defense industry and companies like Lockheed Martin, John Hopkins Applied Physics Laboratory, and I got my master's in systems engineering. And currently I work in the digital engineering environment, helping companies transition from, working on separate databases and paper documents with a lot of human in the loop process. So we're in the company I work with, 𝙩𝙤𝙬𝙀 Systems, is a French company, and they are helping to transition companies to use the standard methods for all of their engineering projects, to moving them to a cloud, a centralized ecosystem where everything is interconnected. But outside of that, just a humble girl from the island living here in the US.
After she gives us all that great data and information on what she does, and then she says, just a normal girl. Listen, don't let Vanessa fool you. Vanessa is one of the, in my opinion, really strategic thought leaders that I've ever met. She thinks long term. In terms of the engineering space and what's coming out, especially in the digital engineering space, she has thought about what our landscape is going to look like, especially in aerospace and defense sector. She has been doing that. Vanessa is a thought and visionary leader. So, don't let her fool you when she talks about being humble. One thing about Vanessa is that when she puts her stance on something, you know that you're going to get something always with excellence, always with excellence. And one thing that I like about Vanessa is that for those of you who think you're going to go into engineering and you think you have to be nice and sweet and you don't want to challenge anyone, yeah, that's not the case. And let me say this about Vanessa. One thing I love about her with her engineering capability and really just leadership, that she doesn't mind challenging and going and not following the status quo. Because when you get into this space, the number one thing you're going to be fighting is not each other, it's not people, it's not even that, it's the status quo, going against the grain. And one thing I love about Vanessa is that she does that in such a professional manner that she has people thinking about their decision and really rethinking on how they want to move forward on things. So yeah, don't let her fool you when she says humble. She is humble, but she's a fierce engineer leader. So Vanessa, tell me this. Okay, so with that being said, who are three people that have influenced you in your life, and how have they impacted you?
Oh my God. That is a great question. I you said three people, correct?
Mhm.
Okay. Definitely it's hard to pinpoint three exact people other than my mother. Let's start there.
Okay. Yep.
Let's put the women who paved the way to get me here on the family tree side.
Mhm.
Um I'm currently taking care of my mother. So that has taken me through a very grounding journey to understand where I come from. And I have discovered that I come from a strong lineage of fighting women, women who go the extra mile and don't get a no for an answer. So all of my fighting spirit, the ability to sit and just ponder and think about something and see it through and see a future and a vision of where it might lead to. I tackled that to my ancestors, to the women who were there before me. From an educational point of view, there's not a lot of women in engineering, you know,
Yeah.
but I would have to say it was uh, my second year of college in Puerto Rico. There was this professor who, she just saw the curiosity in me. She saw something, and I wasn't really thinking going, you know, across the ocean and go to, to the United States and become an engineer. I was just enjoying calculus. That's all I was doing. And she saw something in me and said, you might want to consider breaking through and, applying to go to Penn State for the electrical engineering curriculum. You're very good at this. And I didn't think much of it, but she kept pushing me and pushing me. So I did. And she was a role model for me because she was extremely sharp, but she had poise, she had elegance. It's just when she walked in the room, you knew she knew what she was talking about. I would
Mhm.
have loved to seen her in other realms, but she was there for that purpose, to channel me and propel me into this direction.
Mhm.
Um, and last but not least, I wish honestly I could say this one particular scientist, this one particular engineer, this CEO, but I can't, because I take inspiration in the moment where I'm in the situation I'm in the room that I'm in, and what are those forces around me influencing how I move, how I get
Mhm.
inspired, who is pushing me at the moment. And I can tell you, I have met so many amazing women through my career, my peers, my bosses, and even the one where you feel that, oh my God, this woman is cutthroat. And I think Uche knows who I'm talking about. This woman is cutthroat. And I would go into her office. She was my sector head. And with one look, I could feel that she was breaking everything apart that I was saying and finding the gaps and the holes. But she believed in me, and she inspired me, and she sponsored me. And we're talking about Zara. But before her, we also had, other women like Danielle Hillary and Michelle. We had all these women who saw the underdog in me and believed in my vision, because I would come to their office and I say, "Oh my God, we got model based engineering, and now we have agile, and what you have you guys heard about digital engineering and how the everything in the industry is transitioning and is pushing to this new environment where data is constantly being integrated, and it's touching, and it's reducing, the error that we introduce when we work things manually. As human beings, we're not perfect, so we're getting a cutting edge help from, artificial intelligence, from algorithms, from interconnecting software that creates a living environment that if you touch one area, it lets you know you're breaking something else. So I had a lot of women. And also, last but not least, I also think that the Society of Women and Engineers, the professional chapters, they really helped me at APL, where I was working at the Johns Hopkins University Applied Physics Laboratory. It is such a wonderful network, and the conferences, seminars, and all the amazing women and panelists that are there, you just take so much knowledge. So I know this was a long-winded response, and I want to apologize for that. But I just can't give credit to three women. I
Yeah.
have to lump it into my ancestors who
Mhm.
pushed the way for me to get here. I have to talk about the peers, the colleagues, the professors, the bosses, who really did inspire me and pushed me along to where I am today. And then last but not least, I had a very special office mate that really, really saw through everything and left the company and came back, and she came back with a force. I gotta say it to you, Uche. You keep inspiring me because you had, the courage to leave, you had the courage to come back, and then you had the courage to unravel and say, this is me. And now I am talking to amazing women all across the United States, and hopefully I'm hearing international too. um so it's just to see somebody like you to say, I'm gonna start my company, I'm gonna retire, I'm gonna move here and be successful at it. I can't say three women. I have to say many women that have come across my path.
Oh, I appreciate that. And you know what? Thank you for that. In terms of what I love about what Vanessa just did is she gave homage to um, to the people that have impacted her. That doesn't mean that that's an all inclusive list, but the ones that just stand out immediately. And let me say this: the women that she mentioned, woo, uh, this is how you know you in great company. Honestly, is because when you look back and to talk about the people who have influenced you, um, everyone that you talked about were change agents. Like they went against the grain. They went against the status quo. And it's important, in my opinion, that when you're going into, I'm just going to say engineering field as an example, that you want to make sure that you are surrounded around people who don't mind being trailblazers, because as a woman, by default, you really are. You really are. You're going to be going where there's no lane, there's no trail, maybe not, and you're having to create it. But to have women that you can talk to, no matter how difficult the conversation is, but that you can at least say, "Hey, we got to have this conversation here," and that they'll be open and honest with you. So that's food for thought, everyone, is that, not the people that you want to get information from, that doesn't mean that they're going to agree with everything you say, but you really want them to give you honest feedback. Is that right, Vanessa?
Oh yeah, I had so many tough conversations.
Yeah.
From dealing with imposter syndrome,
Mm,
to which tackles your confidence and how well do you know yourself and how well do you know your material,
mhm,
to emotional intelligence, how to deal with adversity in the workforce, how to deal with unconscious biases in meetings. And you sometimes don't realize how your body, your face is talking for you in the room while you're still quiet.
yeah,
And sometimes when someone comes for you in a very discreet way, and it's just unraveling right there in your face, and you're sitting there like, oh, this is happening and I don't know how to react, and you handle it the best you think you did, and little do you know that you handled it how you were psychologically raised to handle it, and not how you should have handled it as a professional woman in
mhm,
the engineering field or any man, male predominant field.
mhm.
And when I had a situation like that, I don't know if you want me to jump into that story, Uche, but
Your story's up to you.
I was being selected for project management of a space program.
No
And
names.
exactly, no name. It was just a program.
Yep.
And I was being, paired with a technical lead, which I think was awesome. I believe that the wholesomeness and what makes project management successful is that you have a right hand and a left hand, and you're in the center. Your left hand should be your financial advisors helping you deal with the budget, the resources, along with the schedule. And then your right hand should always be that technical guru that can go into the nitty gritties of talking variables, algorithms, excursions, very important details that you as a project manager cannot dive into, because you have other, things that you're juggling, but you need to understand what's happening at the low level so you can raise it to the higher level. Needless to say, the gentleman that was selected as my right hand, who I was excited to work with, did not believe in me. And our get to know each other conversation meeting turned into that person interviewing me when they were not selected and they were not supposed to interview me. And unfortunately, this happens a lot in the industry when you have young minorities coming into very critical positions due to your knowledge, your background, your expertise, and how you have already gotten there due to your own accolades. And others just don't know you. And instead of, building that working relationship and saying, okay, these are my strengths, let's get to know you, I know this is your strength, let's work as a team, because not everyone is perfect and not everyone is an expert in everything. If I'm great at managing resources, people, and a project, maintaining morale, and also understanding what the customer needs, and then transitioning that into achievable goals and potential monetary um, incentives for the company, then you can't expect me also to be the guru of the artificial intelligence algorithm that our geniuses are developing in the lab. So that's where my right hand should come in and help me, because he's not going to want to deal with the politics and writing the statements of work.
Sorry.
He's going to want to focus on the technical stuff. But unfortunately, the gentleman did not know me, and he let a lot of unconscious biases come in the way and turned our meet and greet into an interview. And I was blindsided by it. And instead of me putting on my project manager hat, saying, well, I'm already the project manager, thank you so much for taking interest in my career background, perhaps you can share your resume with me, and then we can have a following discussion where we can get to know each other with each other's resume. It would only be fair. That's how I should have handled it. But no, I handled it as the underdog who still feels that I need to prove where I come from and why I am there. And I just submitted to the interview and I answered the questions honestly. How else are you going to answer the questions, transparently? And then I go to my peer or my boss and I tell my boss what happened. And my boss said, why? Why did you allow that to happen to you? You are managing a group of 40 plus engineers. You have been a project lead for huge contracts in the past. You did not need to sit there and answer any questions when that wasn't an interview.
Yes.
And for me, that was a grounding moment where I realized I have so much to learn and so much to grow in this industry. So I just wanted to share that story because we were talking about, the women that come in and why they come into our space.
Yeah. Thank you for that. That was actually a good story. And what I take from that is we just have to be aware. And like you said, Vanessa, you just didn't know, right? Again, you let your imposter syndrome, I just say, lack of confidence. But your theory made sense. Like, I'm the project manager, you're the technical lead, we're paired up. But what I think is even more interesting is the fact that that person felt like they had the authority to do it.
Mm.
They had the authority to do it, right?
Yeah.
And um, two things could have happened. One, the way you had it happen, or two, it would have happened the way that your manager had said, and then they would have probably came back and said, "Oh, she's not friendly." Right? You know what I mean? Because it's like, because if you're like, wait a minute, who are you again? So, but that's the lessons learned. And I think, as you're listening to this is actually really great nuggets for you to take back. And people are going to test you all the time. You're going to go in meetings. I'm just going to let you know, you're going to go in meetings. And they're going to say, now, who are you again? No, what? How do you know about this? What do you? And you have to be able to navigate that conversation in a way that put them at unease as well. So that's really a great story, Vanessa. Thank you for sharing that. And you know, with that being said, what made you decide that you wanted to be an engineer?
Curiosity.
Like, when did you know?
You know, I didn't know. Let's just put it like that. All I know is, again, going back to my calculus teacher.
Mm.
And, you know, I'm having trouble. It's calculus 2 at this point. I'm just like, I don't
Well,
like
this is in college or high school?
this.
This,
This is college now.
this okay, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Now, I'm like, I don't like this. I
That
don't
too. Mm-hmm.
like. Yeah. And, but then I remember as a child, I would take apart every single electronic equipment that had even the slightest glitch. It wasn't broken, but I took apart radios. I had an easy bake oven.
Mm. You took that apart?
I took it apart because it stopped working, and I thought I could fix it.
That's
Um,
right.
I took apart the sound system of our car
I love that.
because it blew a fuse, and I was upset, and I wanted to fix it.
Yeah.
Um, I took apart lawnmowers.
Hmm.
Hurricane season came. We had a power generator. I was doing maintenance on it too. It. I was always curious, and you're curious, you're following instinct, you're looking at components, you're seeing, oh, this does that, and you're troubleshooting. So that part of my brain was already there. I just didn't have the knowledge of the physics, the mathematics behind it. And just that professor, and my curiosity, she put it all together and she said, go do this.
No.
And I gave it a shot, and the more classes I took, the more I liked it. It also helped that my brother, who's older than me, 7 years older, he also majored in electrical engineering. And I got a sneak preview of what it was. And then he introduced me to the Penn State Summer Research Opportunities Program, where while still studying in Puerto Rico, I would go the summers over to Penn State. And that just opened my appetite. That confirmed it. My first opportunity was researching ceramics and dielectric materials that are to be used to build the sensors and the chips and the components to be put on spacecraft. And we were researching what would be the best ceramic combination to withstand 130 Kelvin degrees, very, very outer space, low temperatures. And I was in a cryo lab with these little tiny ceramic samples, putting them on the little instrument, enclosing it, pumping it with liquid nitrogen, and watching how the properties of the ceramic would break down and react to low, low, low temperatures.
Mm.
Um, and that just I wanted more. The summer ended. I went back the next summer, and then the next summer they had me doing the opposite. Okay, now we're gonna study how they behave with high temperatures. We go to
Mm.
Mars. Are these electronics going to withstand those high heats that they're gonna face over there in those obscene temperatures?
Mhm.
So it just kept going. It was the constant interest in learning more of how things get put together. And that's when I was convinced, all right,
This is
engineering, that's it. And I took a 1 semester hiatus. I went to the Walt Disney World College program for 6 months. And the longer I was there, the more I was like, I need to go back to Penn State. This industry is not for me. I have so many questions. I'm so intriguing. Like, there's so many ways to do things more efficiently. And I was constantly challenging. I was like, no. Now, let me submit my college application to Penn State. I'm convinced I need to go back. And I reached out, I built a network, and they said, well, you can come back for this other opportunity summer program. And then you meet with the advisor, and then we transition you as a regular student, and you start in the fall. I said, yes, sir. Sign me up. When do I
I
arrive?
love that. I love so you had exposure. I love that. I love that. If you can, everyone get exposure as soon as you can so that you know. But I love that. I love
Yeah.
that they did that. Wow. Yeah,
Post
that's pretty good.
non-engineering, non-college.
No, that's good. I love that. So speaking of when we talk about what would be your best advice for early career,
Mm,
0 to 5 years.
0 to 5 years.
Yes.
Zero to-
Let's do 0 to 10. Let's do 0 to 10. Let's do 0 to 10.
Say that again.
0 to 10.
0 to 10. Okay,
Mhm.
that's a huge.
It is.
That's a lot. That's a lot.
Yes.
So I want to go back to 0 to 5,
Okay.
and this is the supervisor manager hat on now. The people manager, not the project manager. Your first 5 years of college are the most important, and those are the ones where you start doesn't necessarily be where you it's not necessarily where you need to stay. Let's put it like that. um you're impressed, it's amazing, you landed. If it was your dream job, you landed your dream job. If not, you landed a good opportunity and you're going to grow as an engineer. But you need to keep in mind one thing: they hired you for a purpose. When they interviewed you, they already had a vision of where they wanted to place you. Your interactions during that interview confirmed whether or not you would fit in that environment that they had designed for you already. So when you start, the most crucial thing that I wish I would have known back then was to sit with my immediate supervisor, the one that's in charge of, assigning you a mentor, assigning you a buddy, getting your task, your work, and extract expectations. How are you looking to groom me? What did you see in the interview that said to you, yes, I need to have this person in this position? Because you're starting. So their expectations, believe it or not, are not high. Their expectations the first year is, are you going to acclimate? Are you going to demonstrate to me that you're a go-getter? If I give you a task, are you going to be are you going to have the courage to say, I don't understand it, can I get some more resources? Or you're going to talk to your peers and you're going to research it on your own, and come back with more questions because you've already learned a little bit more. That's all they want to see in the beginning. They want to see that you have that initiative, right? Once you lock down into your initiative, you find your niche, you say, okay, I think I found something that I can contribute to. Hang on to that. That is your bone. You're going to take that bone like a dog and you're going to run with it. You're going to run with it and you're going to become the expert in that. Find that one thing. You do not need something huge. Just need something small. It could be, if I wish I was a programmer. I wish I could write software, and I wish I could dream it and spit it out, but I can't. So, but if that's your niche, find a code, whatever code they put you on. And even if it's not the perfect code, put comments on it. Semicolon, pound, comment. Document it as you go. Document it as you go. If it's somebody else's code, don't mess with it. Copy it and then work on it in a vacuum where you're controlling that environment. You're not messing anybody else's environment. It's little things like that that get you to shine in the environment in less than 2 years. Less than 2 years. You're a go-getter. You're involved in extracurriculars in the company, and you're moving and shaking. You're going to all the different one-on-one sessions because there's a lot of introductory sessions for you to get to know the company. That's year one and year two. Year three, you hopefully have joined one of the conferences, have started to think of, if you haven't gotten your master's by then, hopefully you figured out if you want to get a master's, if you want to do it through that company. Notice that I said don't jump immediately into your master's. Spend at least 2 to 3 years getting to know, excuse me, I'm getting over a cold. Getting to know, how do you want to refine yourself? Where do you want to focus? Where do you want to go? What do you like in your field? There's a lot of projects. There's a lot. If you didn't get hired into a startup program where they identify you as a potential leader in the company, and then they groom you and they grow you, then find that program and then join it afterwards. You don't have to get hired into it. You can get into it in the first year or 3 years and figure out where you want to move. Now, year 3, year 4, you should have already made a name for yourself. People should already know, oh, you're the new hire, or you're so and so. Didn't you get that code and you fixed it and you came up with a faster way to do things, or you pinpointed a gap here? Very little things. You don't have to save the day. You just have to save one line of code, because that one line of code grows into something bigger. And I'm using code as an example. It doesn't have to be code. It's just a very simple way to see how to explain how you can make a difference with something so small. Excuse me, some water. Now, if you're not already committed at that company at year 3 or 4, meaning you're not in a leadership development program, meaning you're not getting a master's that they're paying for, you're free, right? This is the time, if things are going great and you already know what you want, for you to jump. And oh my God, I'm
It's
sorry.
okay. Yeah, drink.
I am so sorry.
Okay.
Whew. Grab one of these little, excuse me. Hopefully this will help.
That's fine. This is getting edited out. Keep going.
Okay.
It's okay.
All right. Year 3, year 4. If you want to explore, grow, and check other career moves, that is the time to do it. This is why it's the time to do it. Your first 5 years out of college are the years where you grow in salary the quickest. You cannot stay stagnant. If you were hired and then you don't become a go-getter, your salary becomes stagnant. And then after you hit 5 years, getting back to where you're supposed to be, it's a lot harder. Not impossible. Harder depending where you work. So if you're end of the day, the first company that hired you, it has been a beautiful experience, but something else is itching and you want to go check it out. Go. By all means, go. Don't feel that because they hired you first, that is your loyalty and you have to be there the next 20 years. Don't do that. I did that. I got hired within 3 years. Well, no, 4 years. Within 4 years, I moved on to APL, and I will never regret that move. That was the best ever. That company really invested in me to groom me and grow me. But it wasn't easy. There were hurdles along the way. The point is, the first 5 years, find what you think is your niche. If your niche requires you to get a master's and that company is the one where you want to get your master's with, then stay there. If you found your niche, it's not your master's, it's some other area that you want to explore, and you feel a different company will be better for you, then make that jump. Now, it doesn't mean that you can't make a jump inside the same company. Companies are huge. We have the small and we have the big ones. The big ones, you can make moves within the company. You can move states. You can move departments, sectors. And it will also help you too, salary-wise. Not as much as jumping outside, but it will still grow you. It will build your resume. That's the first 5 years. The next 5 to 10, if you haven't gotten a master's, get on it. Get on that master's. After you're done with your master's, don't feel obligated to get a PhD. PhDs are really unique and they serve a purpose. Some institutions, for you to rise through the ranks, you need a PhD. So if that's your goal, get a PhD then. If you want to go into the research field, get grants, build your own lab, and you have an inquisitive mind, get your PhD. If you feel that you want to give back and you want to be a professor and you still want to work in corporate America, get your PhD. However, you can be excelling 5 to 10 years and not have a PhD. You can have multiple masters. You can have certifications. You can become Agile certified. You can become MB model based certified. You can become program management certified, professional engineer. There are other venues that give you value in your career from your first 5 to 10 years. Your first 5 years, figure out who you are, where you want to go, what you want to be known by, what do you want to study. Then you polish that, and then your 5 to 10 years, you're more settled into your career. So you have a better understanding of which way you want to go. You want to stay as an individual contributor, but you want to be the expert and the guru. Then you follow a technical track. If you find out that you're like me, I'm a more people person, problem solving, management skills, then you need to follow a different track, which is more the corporate track and leadership training and certifications on other tools that will help you grow and be more successful. So those are my 5 to 10 year advice.
I love that. Thank you for that. I definitely say Vanessa is accurate. My first 2 years, when I from college to corporate, I was on the production floor, 2.5 years on the manufacturing production floor. Loved it, loved it. Except you didn't get paid overtime.
Mm,
Uh, However, and then I went into systems engineering, and I had no idea what I was doing because it didn't make sense. Systems engineering didn't make sense. But when I went into systems engineering, I actually um, went to the verification and validation part, and which makes sense because I was on the ops side and I went like one step back. But my first 5 years was the most in one company where I got the most money.
mm,
I got other money because I left, but the first 5 years, I probably went maybe $40,000, maybe, maybe 50 in the first 5 years. And that's a lot. That because normally you listen, yeah, $3,000 increase. But they had identified me as a high pot. And that's why my raise, and let me say this, I don't think this long, well, if it exists, it's probably in the back end. But that's how I was in the very first 5 years. And one thing they don't tell you is that if you're in operations, which is manufacturing engineering, it's not the same as being in the engineering director, which is systems engineering, electrical engineering, mechanical. Just to let you know. So ops always makes less money than engineering. They're not going to tell you that, but that's
yeah.
the case. So Vanessa, thank you. That was actually really great and sound advice, and I love it. And let me say this: I did not want to get a second master's. I did not want to get a second master's, but my manager's like, "Uche, you in this director, it's going to serve you well. You may not want it," and he was telling the truth. Now, so that was just me being obedient. I
Mm.
didn't want to do it, but I trusted what he had to say. And I'm glad I did it. I am glad I did it, but I did not want to get another master's. I can tell you, I did not want to go back to school.
Because I wanted that first master's, but I had to kick and scream and drag my feet to finish it.
But it
And
was worth it. It was worth it.
it
It
was
was
worth it. After that, it's just been certifications and training and just,
yeah.
trying to stay ahead of the curve.
Mhm.
Knowledge.
What advice would you give our listeners if there was anything that you could give them?
Stay true to yourself. Follow your passion. Ask yourself every day, why am I here? And it's not why am I here for others, it's for yourself, you know? Um, it's it's very easy to get lost in doing what others think you should because they have their best interest at heart. but they don't know you better than you know yourself. So everything that comes your way, digest it, think about it, ponder it, let it marinate, sit it on the side, think about it. And, it might take you a couple of days to really come to the realization that, no, that's not really what I want to do.
Mhm.
Um, I'm a late bloomer in my career, and it's because I was, like Uche said, obedient. And sometimes when you're obedient, it works, and sometimes it doesn't work. So even though everyone might have their best interests at heart, that doesn't mean that is what you need to do.
Yeah.
So listen to, why did you get there in the first place? Do retrospection of how well is it going? Do you feel passionate in what you do? Are you happy? Are you learning? Are you excited? Do you get up in the morning? I'm not saying every day you're gonna get up in the morning and be like, yes, I'm gonna go work. I'm an engineer. But I'm gonna tell you this. I want to say about 90% of the times early in my career, I was excited. And you could tell new hire excited because they dress. And boy, oh boy, did I dress the part because I wanted the part because I was happy to be there.
Yeah.
Um, so just do that. Just stay true to yourself. And if it doesn't feel right, it doesn't feel right, and make a move and align yourself with people that already know the ropes and they can help you maneuver. Because it may look on the surface like everything is peaceful, but you don't know what those underwater currents look like.
Ooh, bars. Yes. 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 Thank you for that. Those are bars. Make sure you write that down. That was bars. All right, everyone. Thank you for coming and joining us today at the Women Who Leap community. Be sure to like, subscribe, and of course, Vanessa Morales is on LinkedIn. Her information will be below, and you can contact her if you have any questions. And of course, everyone, have a great day, have a great year, and go forth.
Thank you.